Hi madam, my name is Tan Min-sen and I come from Group 5. Today we're going to present our title is Implementation of Ringgit Depreciation. And this is our table content. First is introduction, second is discussion, and next, the last is conclusion. And I will present the introduction part. First, Malaysia Ringgit. In the 1990s, the Malaysia Ringgit served as a Malaysia primary mean of the exchange and was its certification currency across Asia. In the past, the Malaysian currency recorded as low as 2.10 in October 1978 and all-time high record at 4.71 in January 1998. Malaysian ringgit as a currency that is used to buy, to sell, to service. In other words, it value to process of possession as it relates to change in a community. Malaysian ringgit is used as the medium of the currency of transaction. And here we get some reason of the ringgit depreciation. First, the temporary factor. Continue is Malaysia national government debt. And next is impact of the COVID-19. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lee Heng Yao and I will talk about my part, which is ringgit depreciation will cause inflation. Inflation is partly caused by government imposed price ceilings, fuel subsidies, price controls on basic foods, and ringgit depreciation. Since there is shortage of fundamental foodstuff, commodity prices have increased. Impact of commodity prices is more restrained because Malaysia is a net exporter of goods. If the economic recovery is slower than anticipated, there could be an increase in the number of unemployed people. Next part is potential speed bumps for economic recovery. Malaysian exports are anticipated to become more competitive as a result of the weakened ringgit because they are now relatively cheaper. Although higher local prices would partly lessen their purchasing power, a weak ringgit would mean that the tourism and retail sectors could see more foreign tourist spending in the domestic economy. Depreciation of the ringgit will also cause an increase of tourism since foreigners will spend more in Malaysia because of the currency rate. Resource-based, export-oriented industries have already benefited from the rise in commodity prices. And now that the ringgit is dropping, they are expected to experience even higher revenue values.
Hi, my name is Chong Jian. Now I'm going to talk about a rise in international investment. Malaysia is becoming a more popular investment location for foreign investors thanks to its strong economic and pro-business government. Some international investors are now acting a little more carefully than before due to Malaysia's political issue and budget shortfall. For the majority of foreign investors, ETFs are the simplest option to invest in Malaysia. However, investors can also check out the local stock exchange. Malaysia real estate may also be a viable investment choice. Difference in current account and interest rate due to the Malaysia government debt structure, which is predominantly in ringgit. Current depreciation has a relatively limited influence on Malaysia's sovereign rating. Exchange rate influence and interest rate are all closely tied. The central bank control influence and exchange rate by adjusting interest rate, which has an effect on both influence and the value of currency. Higher interest rate draw in foreign investment and drive up the value of the currency. Thank you.
My name is Zeki Ho Min Ho. I want to discuss about the effects of ringgit depreciation. Ringgit depreciation affects the Malaysian standard of living. The same amount of ringgit Malaysia will be exchanged for much less US dollar than before. It will cause a financial crunch for overseas Malaysians. Many online shoppers stop online shopping from overseas due to ringgit depreciations. It is an outflow of hot money and a rapid tightening of the capital market. It will cause damage to shareholders. Next, the effects on economy restructuring. The backlog of problem grew and macroeconomic imbalance become more and more serious with frequent accounts deficits. Industries are lacking innovation and technological content, and they lost international competitiveness. Malaysia is less profitable to attract high-quality multinational companies in the professional service sector. Lastly, ringgit depreciation triggered the financial crisis. Malaysia's foreign exchange reserve has started to shrink from 134.91 billion US dollar to 95.29 billion US dollar in 2015. The investor view Malaysia as a risky country and sell off their ringgit Malaysia holding. Currency speculators will speculate on the ringgit Malaysia. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Justin and I'm going to present for the conclusion. For the conclusion, I will be introduce the summary and the recommendation for this part. For the implication of ringgit depreciation, there have been two types of effects which are positive and negative effect. For the positive effect, the dropping of ringgit value has boosted the government in attracting international investment. And for sure, there are many negative effects, which are inflation, speed bump for economic recovery, and the people's lives are suffering. In order to stopping the depreciation of ringgit, the Bank Negara Malaysia has raised the overnight policy rate by 25 basis points to 2.0%, which is a temporary solution for the depreciation of the ringgit. And for the recommendation, I think that it is best for us to overhaul the outdated monoracial dominated social, economic and educational policies. Besides that, we need to also address the corruption and illicit capital outflows as it is a national crisis. Thus, I think the government need to preparing a long-term supply side policies so that they can be preparing for the next ringgit depreciation. And that's all for my part. Thank you.
Hi, now is Q&A time. For the first question that we get is how does a fall in a value of Malaysian ringgit affect Malaysian consumer and businesses? First point that we get is export growth. A weak Malaysian ringgit may be boost Malaysia firm by making it more inexpensive for overseas consumer to buy product created in Malaysia. The increases in the domestic product demand will probably result in a high profitability of some industry, notably manufacturing.
So what does inflation mean? Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Inflation is typically a broad measure such as the overall increase in prices or the increase in the cost of living in a country.
Is Malaysia economic deficit? Yes, Malaysia annual fiscal expenditure is greater than the difference between fiscal revenue, which is usually represented by a red letter in accounting. The total budget for the 2022 federal government budget is RM 3,321 billion, or 20.3% of the gross domestic product, with a projected fiscal deficit of 6%.
What are the four main reasons for economic growth? First one is length. It includes the metals, oil and gas. Second is labor. The people who are responsible for the creation of goods and service. Thirdly is capital. It includes the machinery, tools, or any equipment used in the production process. Lastly is entrepreneurship. It includes the visionaries and innovators behind the entire production process. Thank you.
For the Q&A part, I will be handling for this question. What are your thoughts on eliminating the bribery? For my answer, it is better to get the tone right from the top. The people at the top must practice what they preach. And besides that, it is also a good way to promote the transparency and access to information. By doing so, it will increase the responsiveness of government bodies. Thank you.